What's going on, guys? This is the Edge DFS. We are talking Showdown, Chiefs versus Raiders, Sunday Night Football. My name is Tyson Smith. I'm joined by Ellie Hernandez. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's Friday night. I'm enjoying myself. Honestly, I'm playing a new video game that my fiance bought me, so I'm enjoying that and really just getting fucking drunk, man.
Have you played Cold War? Have you played Cold War yet?
No. I'm waiting until Christmas so the kids and the family can buy it for me as a gift.
Yeah.
So I got to be patient there.
You mean you haven't prestiged like 7 times already, like most people have?
It doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter. So look, I'm not gonna be a dick here or anything, but like I'm not a pro, but I'm still better than fucking most of the people that play that game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a good thing to be proud of, but look, guys, it's the little victories in life that get you through the day. And
Exactly.
That's all I had to say about that. So
Exactly. All right, guys. So we are talking Sunday Night Football here. We've got Chiefs versus Raiders in a rematch in Las Vegas. Some bad blood going on here. Let's look at the Vegas lines, man. It is minus 361 for KC on the road, and they're an 8-point favorite with a 57 total. Kansas City is 8-1. Las Vegas is 6-3. Las Vegas spanked KC last time they played in Week 5. They rode a bus around, did some crazy shit. What are your thoughts on this, man? Like, this is going to be interesting. This is a similar thing to what we had last night with Cardinals versus Seahawks, as far as a division rivals playing each other again. Can Las Vegas win twice? I don't think it's going to happen, right?
all right. So look, if this is an example of my humility as a person, acknowledging that I know very little about the AFC West because I don't give a shit about them, then I don't know what to tell you. But the thing is here is, I'm not a fool, right? I'm right there with you, and I think you made a great call out on the Cardinals slate the other night, right? It's very difficult for a team to beat another professional football team 2 times in the same season.
Yeah.
And it's even more difficult given the fact that you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And the Kansas City Chiefs are by far the most prolific offense in the NFL. It doesn't matter who they have at wide receiver. It doesn't matter who they have at tight end. Their offensive line is solid, and they have the best quarterback in the NFL. And I don't think it's unfair to say this. He's such a gifted quarterback that he may go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen in the NFL, like today. If Patrick Mahomes walked away from the game today, he would still go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. So it's going to be a very weird slate. It's clearly going to go in Kansas City's favor. That's what the Vegas line has. That's what the odds are saying. And that's what the public is betting. But at the end of the day, we have to find a way to capitalize on that offensive output that we're going to see from Kansas City, but still balance it out with enough Raiders so that we can get different.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. The best hope that I have for this game is that it stays within 10 points. If it gets outside of 17, then DFS is going to be a million-way tie. So
yeah.
I honestly think this is kind of a fun slate because I think our ownership is going to be easily concentrated into the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Which, if you're ballsy enough to run some Raiders, you're going to be able to get different pretty easily. So I know that's a longer intro than we usually do, but
good info.
It's going to be an interesting slate, and I'm excited for it for sure.
So the Chiefs are coming off of a bye. Andy Reid, typically speaking, does pretty well. Let me pull up a graphic here for you guys. So I stole this off some random dude on Twitter, but head coach Andy Reid aims to improve to a career record of 19-3 coming off of bye in the regular season. Since joining the Chiefs in 2013, Reid is 5-2 following bye weeks. I'm not going to read too much into this. Basically, what this is saying is, look, Andy Reid, the dude can prepare. If he has enough time to prepare for a team, he's going to win, most likely. So considering these teams have already played, Vegas whipped that ass in Kansas City, man. They really did in week 5. I know it's been 5-6 weeks since then, so a lot has changed, a lot has happened. Vegas is only, they're 6-3. They've only lost 2 games since then, or actually they've only lost once since then, I believe. I'll have to check, but I know they lost to Tampa Bay. So they're kind of on a roll. They're throwing the ball well. Derek Carr is playing well. After that game, I think they scored over 40 points in that game. I think it was actually 40 on the nose. So after that game, they, did a little victory lap. They kind of pissed a lot of people off. Here's actually John Gruden talking about it.
Really? You can find a smart aleck bus driver in Kansas City who made some snide comments when we got on the bus. Maybe that's why we drove around the stadium, just to tick him off. This is ridiculous. Next question.
I love John Gruden, man. Like, honestly, dude, I'm so glad he's back in football. He's such a fucking weird dude. Like,
are you out of your mind? Are you out of your skull?
Yeah, I love him.
But
I love him.
I don't give a shit what anybody says. Did anybody expect this Raiders team to be what are they, 6-3, 7-3?
Yeah, 6-3.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah, come on, man.
They've got a shot. They've got a shot for the playoffs, man.
Playoffs.
So
yeah. Especially with the seventh spot that was added in there. First of all, the NFC West is going to get 3 playoff teams. It's that simple, right?
Playoff.
Sorry, I
with
can't.
that additional spot. No, dude, fuck that. Jim Moore all day. Like, he should be the intro to every segment. But anyways, dude, it's going to be a fun game. You're right there, right? You have to acknowledge the fact that this is a division rivalry. I don't give a shit how good these teams are. And to be quite frank, I kind of give a shit about Andy Reid's record off the bat, but it's this. John Gruden is a great head coach. And, we see it with the 49ers. Right, you can have the shittiest roster. A good head coach can make enough of a difference so that a terrible roster can start winning. And it looks like Nelson Aguilar is a real wide receiver as long as Carson Wentz isn't throwing to him.
Yeah.
So I really think that the Raiders are going to come prepared for this game, and I honestly think they can keep it close enough so that you don't have to go so heavy on all the chalk tonight to win.
And look, they're playing at home. I know it doesn't make a huge difference, but there's some advantage to it. They're a little bit more comfortable at home. It's a brand new stadium. The Chiefs have never played in this stadium before, so who knows? Who knows what can happen in this game? I personally think Vegas is a little drunk because there's no reason they should be, League of Legends lines when it comes to, what are they, minus 360 or something like that? That's a little too much in my opinion. And they're favored by 8 points. I don't know why. I just don't understand. There's not a major injury. There's nothing crazy happened. They're at home and they're underdog by 8 points. If it was 5 or 6, okay, I get it.
It's okay to respect the Kansas City offense, but again, I support exactly what you're saying. Vegas is strong because it's a division rivalry, right?
Yeah.
And yes, the Chiefs are probably going to win by 10 points. But at the end of the day, it is a division rivalry. Josh Jacobs is one of the better backs in the NFL. And how do you keep Pat Mahomes from scoring? You give the ball to Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. Eat that clock. All right, let's look at some injuries here. There's not a lot to talk about. But we've got Sammy Watkins, who actually got injured in that last game. He caught a touchdown in the first half against the Raiders. And he got injured. It was a hamstring injury. And he's been out since week 5. So he's coming back. It looks like Mecole Hardman. I tried to actually get a confirmation on this, but I couldn't find a whole lot. He was on the COVID reserve list last week, and I think he is still going to be out. There's no confirmation. He's not even on the injury report, but he's still on the COVID-19 list, so I'm assuming he's going to be out again, which opens things up for some 3rd and 4th string wide receivers. If Sammy Watkins comes back, Mecole Hardman leaves, you got Demarcus Robinson, you got Pringle, you've got some other options that we can talk about in a minute. When it comes to the Raiders, actually, real quick, let's we also had CEH sort of injured, so let's actually hear a very eloquent Andy Reid talk about some of his injuries for practice today.
So Sammy and Williams and Clyde, D. Williams and Clyde, they were all back for practice today, and that was that. So,
thanks, Andy.
Dude, I feel like he just got he was eating a cheeseburger in between mentions. He's Clyde.
Oh man, he's like the Rob Reiner on South Park episode like 10 years ago. Anyways,
All right. Hey, no, I real quick, I do want to interject because based off of look, this is just CBS Sports and some USA Today, some fucking news organizations, right? They're reporting that Tyreek Hill's looking to return punts, and
yeah, because Mecole's out. Yeah,
yeah, I think you're right on. I know we may not have confirmation on it, but I don't think he's playing. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be talking shit like that. There's no reason for Tyreek. Look, and Andy Reid, I sure as hell know you're not watching, but don't do that, man. Just don't do that, right? There's no reason. There's no reason to put Tyreek Hill back there. I mean, if you're gonna do it, have fun and put fucking Travis Kelce back there returning punts. I'd love to see that shit. But no, don't do it. You got D-Rob. Just throw D-Rob back there and run it back. All right, we should probably get into the show though, man. I'm fucking getting carried away. Sorry guys, I've been drinking. These platinum seltzers are 8%, and I did not prepare myself appropriately.
I'm not sponsored by Truly. I mean, I wish we were because that would save me a lot of money. But I need probably 6 or 7 of these bad boys to get going. 8% alcohol on those platinums, damn, not bad, man. Shit. All right. Yeah. Let's get... Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Jalen Richard, questionable. So this is interesting as well. We'll talk about the running back position for Las Vegas in a minute. I'm still not used to calling them Las Vegas, by the way. But, there's some options this week. We've got Devontae Booker. And if Jalen Richard is out, look, I already love Booker anyways. So... we'll get into that. He's a low price tag. You're going to need him this week with all the high price players. But if Jalen Richard is out, that makes things really interesting because there's not really any other options back there. Those guys are going to get the ball every single time. So keep an eye on injuries here. And, just because Mecole Hardman is out, typically speaking on a main slate, we wouldn't give a shit about that. We wouldn't care. But these are big ways to get an edge. If Mecole's out and D-Rob is going to get more, or Pringle's going to get a couple extra snaps, Pringle's $200, like those are things you need to really pay attention to. So let's talk about ownership a little bit here. Obviously, we're recording this on Friday night, so it's a little early in the week. We don't really have any ownership out, but we've done a pretty decent job with figuring out where ownership is going to go when we record these shows, and just getting an idea as far as like the top 3 to 5 players where we think is going to go, and also some low-owned guys that we think are going to come in under-owned. What are your thoughts? Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is going to be 98% owned. I mean, that's just obvious. But the problem here is you have a bunch of Kansas City players, elite Kansas City players that are over 10K, and you can't fit them all together. So you have to make a decision. Are you going to fade Derek Carr? Are you going to fade Josh Jacobs and just fit all the Kansas City guys in? Or are you going to get ballsy and say, fuck Kelce, fuck Hill, Where do you think the field's going to go? Obviously, we know Mahomes is going to be almost owned completely across the field. Where does it go? Where do we go from here? Kelce next? Do you think Carr will end up, because of the pricing, do you think Carr will end up, out of the top 5 of ownership that like we've seen a couple times this year?
No. So look, man, this is gonna sound dumb as shit, and I apologize for this, but I honestly think Patrick Mahomes is gonna come in closer to 75% owned, and I think Derek Carr is gonna come in closer to 50%. I think Draftkings intentionally put that price tag there. And look, if Patrick Mahomes is over 75% owned, then based on his current projection on a Friday night, right, before we have inactives and all that shit, I'm gonna get fucking struck by a lightning bolt right now, but he is potentially fadeable based on his current projection for fantasy points and given his current expected ownership. If he's over 75%, I think I'm gonna come in pretty close to 50% on the field there. Wow. And yeah, and I don't know, man. His price tag is so high. I mean, I understand that Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are negatively correlated, but so does everybody at this point, right? So I think you might actually be in a decent position to just stack as much of the offense that you can on the Kansas City side of the ball and then go Derek Carr and Josh Jacobs on the other side. So look, again, we're kind of straying off of the ownership topic here that we're looking to fill, but Patrick Mahomes is probably going to be 95%. I think he should be closer to 75% given his price tag. Tyreek Hill is going to be around 50 to 60%. Travis Kelce is going to be about the same. And simply because of that negative correlation that most people are starting to understand between the two.
Yeah.
But Derek Carr at 9.8K, I expect him to come in probably close to 40 to 50%.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it's going to be pretty spotty. I think Josh Jacobs will probably be pretty high owned. The one I'm interested to see is Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Eclair. I don't fucking know his name, and I'm not that dude from Thursday night who wore it the fuck out. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna call this dude Clyde or Seth the rest of the night. No, we'll go with Clyde.
CEE.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. But look, is the H silent when you're doing the acronym? Like how does this shit work? What are the French rules?
It's a good idea.
All right, so look, if at 8,200. He has a lot of upside, so I'm very curious to see what happens with his ownership projections. He's going to be a very interesting decision to make on this slate, so that's the one that I'm most interested in. And again, a long way around your answer, so I apologize to our viewers for me trying to muscle my way through 8% drinks that I wasn't really anticipating.
All right, so let's just move on to the breakdown. Let's get into it right away. We're looking at quarterbacks here. Yo, what's up?
20 minutes right away.
I know. Hey,
sorry guys.
If you guys have watched this show before, we go an hour deep every time. We're zooming.
This show's gonna be pretty easy, man. Because I mean, if we look at it right, there's not a single person that's gonna be like, dude, my fucking mom will tell me to play Patrick Mahomes. She doesn't even watch football, right? My dad's gonna be like, isn't there some short, fast guy on the Chiefs? Play him.
Yeah, play him.
This isn't hard, right? We're gonna spend most of our time trying to look for some value, and honestly, that's probably all you guys give a shit about on this episode, anyway. So all right, God damn it, I'm just eating time. Go ahead, man.
By the way, I'm gonna eat some more time. If you guys wouldn't mind giving us a like, subscribe, we appreciate all the support we've gotten so far. Any likes really helps us out with the algorithm to get some more views. We really appreciate it. We're going to be building the lineup here at the end of the episode, so stick with us. We appreciate it. All right, so we're looking at Patrick Mahomes at 13.4K. We're getting a lot of these guys like this lately on these showdown slates. They're pricing up these elite quarterbacks to over 13K. And it makes it really, really difficult. It makes it tough. Derek Carr at 9.8K is interesting. I think he's a little overpriced, in my opinion. I think he should be like 9.5. I think it would make things a little bit easier to deal with on this slate, but Draftkings is not necessarily trying to make things easy for us. So I think you got to fade. There's like 4 elite plays that are expensive that you're gonna have to fade one of them. There's just no way. So I think Derek Carr, his ownership is gonna be a lot lower than the typical second owned quarterback is on these slates, simply because we just can't afford them. You know what I mean? So let's look at, Derek Carr absolutely crushed it against KC in week 5. That was sort of his last good game, to be honest. He's really gone down so far, and I'm really surprised that they priced him at 9,800 when he probably should be under 95 or even around the 9s. With looking at these box scores here, I know that Denver won they beat Denver 37-12, but he only scored 7 fantasy points. Now that's just a game script thing. He only threw the ball 25 times, but I mean, he has had 3 straight weeks of failing scores and all wins. So interestingly enough, and some of these they put up over 30 points. So it's hard to figure out. Obviously, Derek Carr is just handing the ball off a ton. They're getting a lot of volume on the ground. Their rush offense has been really pretty impressive lately. You got Josh Jacobs, Devontae Booker, Jalen Richard. All those guys get volume. Specifically, Devontae Booker lately. He's been absolutely crushing it. So when you look at Derek Carr, he's trending down. I think people are just going to look at those numbers and be scared away from him. So there's some serious leverage here. This is a division rival, and he absolutely torched him for 40 points in week 5. I think there's some leverage. If he comes in under 40% owned, I might go heavy on him, and I might fade like a Hill or spread out my fades to just be like more of an overall 30-40% across the board for some of these other guys. It's hard to tell right now. We have to wait for ownership. But what are your thoughts on Carr? Are you going to be getting a lot of Carr this week?
Okay, so my initial thoughts are no. Just no, initially. And the reason being is because he is on a downward trend. But look, I'd be a fool not to mention that his price is probably going to deter ownership.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody was really quite expecting him to be, where he's at right now. I think you were right on when you were discussing where he should be priced.
Yeah,
he should be low 9,000s, maybe high 8,000s at best. And I think that might deter some ownership. So I think he should be close to 50 to 60% owned, just because he is likely going to be one of the top fantasy output or top fantasy producers on his team. I don't really anticipate Josh Jacobs to get really the same volume that he's getting in these wins. Because they're playing the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
So. This game is going to be very game script dependent, but no, I am sticking with. I'm probably going to be fading Derek Carr for the most part.
Yeah.
Unless I start to realize his ownership is just coming in ridiculously low owned.
Yeah.
That price tag is going to impact his ownership, and I mean that's really what I have on him. Now, Patrick Mahomes is where it gets interesting, right? At a 95% ownership, or look, he's going to be above 75. He's probably going to be above 85, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I think at the price tag, he should come in closer to 75%. That's what that tag kind of indicates Draftkings is trying to force. But I don't know that that's going to happen. If his projections start getting adjusted there, then, I think you're reasonable playing the field. But look, this offense they've achieved like maximum efficiency. They have a very balanced run game. If Clyde sucks dick tomorrow or on Sunday, right, they can give the ball to Le'Veon Bell. If not, they can give it to Jarrell Williams. They can give it to so many different people on the offense that those ceiling games are a little more few and far between for Patrick Mahomes than what we were seeing last year.
Yeah.
And I know this is damn near blasphemy, but I mean, you can look at his game log. I mean, this is stuff that we expect from. I mean, this isn't something that we would expect for a stone cold captain lock that we had last year, right?
Yeah.
Like last year, if you were playing the Chiefs on a showdown, if you didn't have Patrick Mahomes, it didn't matter what you had. Like he was your captain.
Yeah.
Because he was going to score so many more points than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he obviously has that ceiling here, but I think he's an interesting fade, man. And that salary that you're going to save, and given his ownership, you may only have to do this a couple times to get different, right? You may be able to be unique enough to run 2 or 3 lineups without him and still not have to risk balls out not playing Mahomes.
Yeah.
So that's why I think this slate is a little bit more interesting. I really don't know if he's going to be necessary. And I didn't think I'd be saying that coming into this, but that's kind of where I'm at this moment.
Well, I mean, think of it just from a game script aspect. If you switch your mindset to that, as opposed to just like, oh, I'm going to get, I'm going to fade him or I'm going to be over the field. If you think about each lineup as its own story, there is a situation where he spreads the ball around to 6-7 guys, and yes, he will basically be the highest scoring guy on the slate. But there's also a situation where Tyreek Hill scores 3 touchdowns, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire runs 2 touchdowns in. Basically, what I'm trying to say is he can obviously pass for 3 touchdowns, throw for 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, and most likely be in the optimal lineup. But there's going to be someone who scores more than him potentially in this game with these home run hitters. You got Travis Kelce, who can easily he can wake up He can have a bad day and score 2 touchdowns in the red zone and score 150 yards. So I get what you're saying. I totally agree with that. I'm not going to make it a hard and fast rule that I have to just put him in every lineup like I did, with Kyler and Russ on the last slate. He's, Patrick Mahomes is not getting a lot of rush yards. The last 3 weeks he's had 0 rush yards basically. They don't want him to run the ball.
Yeah, fuck that, dude. No.
They don't want him to run the ball.
He has a golden arm. Like, literally, he could be looking backwards from the goal line and just fucking... Dude plays Madden. Like, remember 2001, in Madden 2001, just sprinting backwards with Michael Vick and then just fucking tapping triangle and throwing an 80-yard bomb to, what is it, Roddy White? Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, that is Patrick Mahomes, except he's fucking accurate. Like,
yeah.
Anyways, dude, this is gonna be a 17-hour show if we just sit here, talking about.
Well,
Mahomes.
look, this is an important thing to break down. Obviously, it's you just want to put him in every lineup, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. I actually totally agree with probably getting him in 75% plus. I'm not gonna have him in the captain because he's gonna be 35%, possibly 40% owned in the captain. That's just how you get it.
Yes.
And if you're 40% owned in the captain, look, there's a reason he's that high owned, because if you're smart, you're going to put him there because most likely he's going to have the most points. But it's impossible. It's impossible to be different. If I get first place in the Millie Maker and I split it with 700 people, I'm going to lose money. Like, what's the point? I can put in my Twitter profile, I won the Millie Maker, but come on. Like, that's just...
I won $600 on the Millie Maker.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So look, just think of it this way. Get him in the flex if you need to. But there's a situation where I'm not going to call it game manage. I'm not going to ever say that. But look at the Denver game. They scored 43 points, and he had 12 fantasy points. Is that going to happen again? I don't know. They could be up 28-0 at half, and he can only throw for 1 touchdown, and they're just going to run the ball the rest of the game. Like, there is an absolute situation where that can happen. So just keep an eye on that. Think about it, and don't just think, oh, well, I got to get Mahomes in every lineup because they're gonna win. Well, yeah, he can absolutely go off, but you don't have to go 100% on him. Go 75.
Andy Reid wants to run the football. He always has. Like, I mean, look, any good offensive head coach wants to run the fucking football. So, like, let me clarify when I say the word fade regarding Patrick Mahomes. Have a couple lineups without him simply because it's easy leverage, right? You can stack everybody. You don't have to pay up for him.
Yeah.
But if you're running 20, that means, 17 lineups have him.
Yeah.
At flex. Just don't run him at captain. You don't need to do that. I really don't think you need to do that.
And we're talking large field tournaments, obviously. That's why I mentioned the Millie Maker. If you're doing single entry, go for it. Go for it. If there's 23,000 entries in your single entry, you can get different in the flex. You can throw a 10% owned guy in there. You can throw a 7% owned guy in there and pray that he goes off. But you're going to have to do that. And if you're playing the Millie Maker with him in the captain, you're going to have to punt on probably 2 positions at dudes that you don't even know their names. That, like, your 2 lottery tickets basically is what you're going to go for. Let's move on to the Chiefs running backs. So you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 8,200. I feel like he's just priced pretty damn high. I know he's good. I know he gets volume, but I just don't see him being high owned. Because I'd rather play Tyreek. I'd rather play Kelsey. I'd rather play Waller. I'd rather play Jacobs, in my opinion. If he comes in under 30%, I don't see it happening. It's going to be difficult. I think the ownership's going to be spread out. But if he's under 30%, then I'm going to try to go heavy on him. If he's over 40, over 50, I might try to go under. We're just playing that game right now. That's just something to talk about. Get this in your mind so that when ownership comes out, you're not scrambling to try to figure out where you want to go. You got one of the most interesting plays on the slate, in my opinion, Le'Veon Bell at 1,400. I think he should be in the 4s or 5s. I know he hasn't had a great season this far, but 1,400. I mean, how can you not play this guy? You're looking for value, and I know he's on a new team. We don't know his role yet, but you're talking about one of the best players the best running backs in the past 10 years. Like, this guy was on pace to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know if I don't know. Would you consider him a Hall of Famer at this point in his career?
Yeah. Yeah. He's a Hall of Famer. Remember, he has records for like receptions and touchdowns, rushing touchdowns that David Johnson, right? David Johnson has his cleats in the Hall of Fame for the 3 touchdowns in the one game.
Yeah.
But so does Le'Veon Bell. Yeah, Le'Veon Bell is an all-time great running back. And
so you're looking at a guy that's I would say right on the downturn of his prime. Like, he's probably still in his prime at this point. He's switching into a new team. He's second on the depth charts. He's splitting carries. But at 1,400 on a slate like this, it's going to be like one of those, he's going to be one of the 2 guys that I get into almost every lineup. I'm going to have another guy that I probably get into every lineup. You just got to find the value. And basically, if I have to plug in all high probability plays like Mahomes and Hill and Kelsey, and throw in a Le'Veon Bell and just pray he goes off, well, I'm only relying on 1 player to go off, not 3. The chances are that Mahomes, Tyreek, and Kelsey are going to go off. So getting a guy like Le'Veon Bell at 1,400, which allows you to get 3 of those guys in your lineups, I think it's a great option. I know he hasn't really shown his worth yet, but we're on a bye week. He's settling in. I just watching that Andy Reid press conference. He was high on Le'Veon Bell, so give this guy a shot. I know CEH is the guy, but Andy Reid likes to spread it around. When it comes to Darrell Williams, actually, go ahead, talk to me about Le'Veon Bell. Do you have any opinions on him at 1,400? We'll get to Darrell Williams in a second.
Look, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. My Kansas City Chiefs breakdown is probably going to be frustrating. And the only reason is because I think literally every single player on this offense is in play because Andy Reid is an absolute mastermind when it comes to drawing up plays.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this game because John Gruden is a defensive mind and he's great at utilizing his players, right? And Andy Reid is an offensive mind and he's great at utilizing his players. I think Le'Veon Bell is in an absolute awesome position to smash because there is a good opportunity that coming off this bye week that he's going to have a little bit better grasp of the offense and he can be used in a volume type situation. So I think CEH and Le'Veon Bell are both kind of the volume guys, right? The first, second down backs that they're planning to use. And then I 100% anticipate Darrell Williams and Darwin Thompson to both be viable options in the spell situations and third down back situations. Yeah. And I'm just going to preface this. That's really going to be my feedback when it comes to literally every position on this offense. Yeah. You can plug in one of these guys in every single lineup and have very high upside that someone can bust a long touchdown or someone's going to get a touchdown at a pure volume. So that's where I'm at. I don't think Le'Veon Bell is a bad play. I know that his last game, or I think it's only been 1 game. It may have been 2 games already with the Chiefs, but he's not getting the volume. He's not getting anything. But Andy Reid's playbook isn't something you just pick up on day 2. Yeah. Now he's been with the team for 3 weeks, a month, and he has the ability to kind of understand what's going on and what's expected of him. He's going to see the playing field more than some of the other backs anyways, simply because he has the size to be a blocking back in the pass game, which CEH and these other guys don't have the ability to do. Darrell Williams is a little bit better at doing it than the other 2, but Le'Veon Bell, he's an all-around back. So again, I think he's got some really high upside at 1.4K. I mean, he should be the equivalent of 4,400 Larry Fitzgerald. Yeah, exactly. Right. He should have a minimum floor. It doesn't matter what year of his career he's in, right? We all know what can happen if he gets enough targets and shit. So I'm right there with you. I think every single one of these guys is in play though. And I mean tomorrow night Sunday night's just gonna be weird because you're gonna have to build kind of with the core and then just jam these motherfuckers in there.
So 2 quick things here is I wouldn't be opposed to creating a group of all these low price players. setting a cap on the guys you don't like as much, and making a rule to get one of them into every lineup. So you got a Le'Veon Bell, we'll get into, you got Pringle, you got a lot of these other guys that you can Darrell Williams, and Darwin Thompson even. I don't know if I love those picks as much. I maybe limit them to 5% to get them in one lineup, but force the optimizer to put these guys and spread them out across your lineups, so you can, because I just don't know how this is going to turn out. Like with the Cardinals and Seattle, we had a good idea where everything was going. We weren't really off on that at all. We did a pretty good job. We won't get into that because, terrible slate, terrible game. But generally speaking, we kind of had an idea where everything was going. I don't think you can really be that confident with this game when it comes to the Chiefs, because Byron Pringle can have 3 touchdowns. If I saw that, I'd be like, oh shit, yeah, that sounds about right.
You want to hop over to the? I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to cut you off, but I really, since we're talking about running backs, I really want to talk about the Raiders running backs.
All right, so Josh Jacobs is at 9,600. Devontae Booker, spoiler alert, one of our favorite plays, 2,200. He's 800 more than Le'Veon Bell, so his ownership is going to not be as high. I know he's had a couple of good games in a row, so I don't know where the ownership's going to go. I just know it's probably going to be pretty low. 2,200, and you got Richard at 600. Talk to me, Ellie.
Look, Josh Jacobs and Devontae Booker will be the only 2 backs in my player pool from the Raiders. Josh Jacobs, look, again, my feedback's going to be a little frustrating on the slate because a lot of the plays are obvious. Josh Jacobs in play. If you can build him in your lineups, you need to have him in your lineups. He's going to get involved in the pass game. He's going to get involved in the running game. And John Gruden knows just as well as everybody on the goddamn planet that you need to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. Mm-hmm. It's that simple. So Josh Jacobs is very likely to get volume. On to Devontae Booker. At 2,200, he is also going to get volume, especially if Jalen Richard is out. If Jalen Richard is out, then Devontae Booker not only becomes the backup running back, potential goal line back, because he does have the ability to get those attempts, he becomes the spell back and third down back, right? So now you're getting involved in the pass game. I like Devontae Booker. I liked him in Denver. I think he was a great addition to this offense. And at 2,200, look.
He had 2 touchdowns last week, and he had a touchdown the week before.
Bro, and yes, I understand we're going to talk about mean regression and that at some point he's got to go back to being a $2,200 player. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have a guy who's scoring touchdowns, who's probably going to continue scoring touchdowns, than, fucking Hunter Renfrow at, 4,700, who's hasn't done shit since people realized that he was really fucking fast. So, look, man, at 2,200, I don't think Devontae Booker's a terrible play. I love him. I think he gives you a lot of flexibility. As of Friday night at 11 o'clock Eastern time, he is the clear value, and I really don't expect him to be over 20% owned. So I'm going to get a shitload of this guy, because even if he's the 0, it's not going to hurt me like some of the other players getting low performing scores. So that's where I'm at with these guys, man.
Yeah, I agree. And Josh Jacobs, to me, is just, it's going to be hard to get him. You're going to have to make a decision. Do you go Josh Jacobs or do you go Carr? It's going to be hard because Josh Jacobs can go off. He hasn't really had a great fantasy season. He's had, if you look at that, he's got the first week 35. Then against Kansas City, he had a 22-point game. And then last week, he had a 32-point game. So he's been kind of all over the place. We know he has the ceiling. We know he's the number 1 guy. He got 60% of the snaps last week. On the season, he's getting 65% of the snaps. You look at Devontae Booker last week, he got 31% of the snaps, while Richard was at 4. Now, look, full disclosure, I'm not exactly sure if Richard got injured in that game. I don't necessarily remember. I watched it, but there was no report on it. They didn't really talk about it. So I don't know about his injury status because he is questionable. So that could be a reason why Devontae Booker got a little bit more snaps last week. But I don't think you really have to look into it too much. Josh Jacobs is the guy, and I think you just plug him in because he can absolutely kill you. He can have a 30-plus point game and be the highest scoring guy in the slate, especially considering he's on the underdog team this week. I think people are going to sleep on him quite a bit. He's not really a pass catcher. I mean, he gets targets, 4 targets a game-ish. It's not bad. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. But a team that's an underdog by 8 points, it might be hard to justify getting, a guy like Jacobs in the game. But he's so dynamic. He's the next tier down from Kamara and Elliott and Dalvin Cook, those kind of guys.
Yeah,
he's the next tier down for sure.
So I need you to do something for me. You got to make like some fucking bullshit light that goes off whenever I mention an Alabama player.
Okay.
Because look, I've watched Josh Jacobs enough.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, that works for me. Every time I mention an Alabama player, you just gotta play that shit. Okay, look. Josh Jacobs is not being utilized to his full potential. Him getting 4 targets in a game is criminal. He needs 6 or 7. And I honestly think that getting him involved in the pass game is going to be a little bit more different than what the Chiefs would be willing to expect. Look, this guy has high upside. He is an open field runner, similar to Damian Harris, just a little bit bigger and with a lot more oomph behind his running. So, look, he is going to get out in the open field and he is going to make people miss. So, I think look, when John Gruden figures out how to utilize him in that part of the offense, I think you're going to get a different player. Now, another thing to consider is he does get hurt too. So some of these games where we're looking at low outputs, that's because he has that injury risk. And I mean, he has the ability to be a franchise running back. So I don't know if John Gruden's there yet. I'm willing to risk that. I think John Gruden's trying to ride out the season and kind of see where they end up. So I do recommend being mindful of your exposure here because there is a good chance that he could get injured, re-injure that ankle and be out for the game. And another common observation, just as an Alabama fan, it seems like all these dudes have fucking sprained ankles since their freshman year. So, you got Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Josh Jacobs, Damian Harris. And then what the fuck is CJ Mosley hurt for? I'm pretty sure he hurt his ankle. Anyways, never mind. Dude, we're running out of time. Let's go on to the next position.
All right,
I got my point across there.
Last thing to talk about is don't sleep on Alec Ingold. I know. John Gruden loves his fucking fullbacks. He's gotten receptions out of the backfield. He's $200. These are the kind of plays that you look at the Millie Maker winner and you go, Alec Ingold had 9 fantasy points at $200. What the fuck? Who would play that guy? I'm not saying go crazy on Alec Ingold. Just consider playing him in one of your lineups because you never know. I think he's one of the only $200 guys that you can actually play on this slate. Let's go to wide receivers for the Raiders. You got Hunter Renfrow at 4,200. You got Henry Ruggs, who absolutely crushed Kansas City last time. He's sort of been MIA since. He's at 5K flat. And then you got Butterhands, no longer Butterhands, Nelson Aguilar at 6,200. Interestingly enough, the projections have it upside down when it comes to the highest projected player is the lowest costing, and vice versa. So what are your thoughts on this whole situation here with the Raiders? I think any one of these guys can go off and break the slate, especially Aguilar, especially Ruggs. And look, Hunter Renfrow can catch 62 passes in this game across the middle. You got to just spread your exposure out, I think.
Yeah, all 3 guys are in play. I think you need to take a stand here and only play one. That's
scary.
Really scary. That's my analysis here, though. My favorite out of the group is going to be Henry Ruggs, and guess what? Go ahead and fucking cue it.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's because he's from Alabama. He's going to be the fastest player on the field, and that includes Hunter Renfrow and Nelson Aguilar.
His only good game this year was against Kansas City. He had 22 points. And since then, he's literally sucked ass.
Well, I'm going to put it this way, dude. There's only so long that you can keep a clean route runner down. At the end of the day, you're going to get a wide receiver. You're going to get a quarterback who's going to be able to see it. Derek Carr's not fucking dumb, man. At some point, he's going to start realizing that, Henry Ruggs is getting himself some separation just because he's running clean routes.
Yeah.
And John Green's going to notice that as well. I think he has the highest upside out of any of these guys. Now, if you're looking for, one catch, one pump chump, like I think you got Nelson Aguilar, right? He's going to get 2 receptions, 50 yards, probably a touchdown. And then you got Hunter Renfrow, who, he can get 62. He can get 62 receptions for 6 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I just think all 3 guys are in play. I think you need to build it out based on how you think the game's going to go. And I just don't think you need multiple of them in lineups. Brian Edwards, Zay Jones, whoever the fuck you got in your player pool over there, Tyson, I don't know who these random people are. I won't be touching them.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Edwards, Zay Jones. I mean, Zay Jones had a touchdown on a random showdown slate that we
Zay
did.
Jones on the Bills.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah. So he did have a random touchdown, and he's only $1,000. But I'd rather go to Le'Veon Bell, big time.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. All right, let's move. Before we move on, I just think that one of these guys is going to go off. That's just my opinion. One of them is going to go off. You just got to figure out which one. So me personally, I'm going to spread out. I'm going to try to get, one of these guys in a lot of my lineups, but I'm not going to have more than one, in my opinion. Let's go over to Kansas City side. This is always fun to talk about. You got Tyreek Hill.
Can I go first?
Go ahead, bro.
I want to go first. I told you guys, you're going to get very frustrated with my analysis. Every single one of these guys are in play because this is the best fucking offense that we've seen in the history of football.
I agree.
Okay, to you, Tyson.
I agree. Let's tell our viewers the pricing here. So Tyreek Hill's at 11,000. It's gonna be hard to play him, man. I don't know what his ownership is gonna look like, but
we're not playing Mahomes a captain though, right? So we don't need to worry about that.
I know.
Right? You play Hill or Kelsey. 50-50, man. Just fucking.
You got to get one of these. You got to get Hill or Kelsey in every lineup, in my opinion. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, that's it.
Look, Tyreek Hill absolutely crushed these mofos in Week 5. They couldn't stop him.
Tyreek Hill's crushed everybody,
and he's crushed pretty much everybody. I mean, look at last week. He had 2 touchdowns. I mean, look at this. He's only. Oh, that's insane. I didn't even know this. There's only been 2 games that he didn't have a touchdown in this year, and one of which was against Vegas, but he still went off. So he has the highest ceiling on the slate. If his captain ownership is less than 15%, I might just lock him in and just find ways to get different in the flex. It's hard to tell right now because it's possible his captain ownership can be close to the quarterbacks because of how dynamic he is. So look, don't overthink this. Put him in your lineups as much as you possibly can. Figure out whether or not the other guy you need to fade above 10K or above 9.8K, and just put him in your lineups, basically. One guy that's really risky, I think his ownership's going to be super low, is Sammy Watkins. So Sammy Watkins is coming back from that hamstring injury. Looks like he's going to be full speed. He's at 5,400. And a guy like Sammy Watkins, I would not be surprised if Sammy Watkins had 2 touchdown catches in this game. It's just hard to tell because I think Mahomes loves Sammy. He's clutch. Sammy's clutch. And at the beginning of this year, best ball, I was like, I want to get a lot of Sammy Watkins, and people sort of talked me out of it. But I'm high on Sammy Watkins.
Don't overthink it, right? We talk all we want about DK Metcalf. Sammy Watkins is 6'3". He is 220 pounds, and he runs a fucking 4.3 40. I don't know what you want the defender to do. I don't know what you expect. He's 5,400. I don't give a shit what his projection is. All I know is that dude is gonna fucking run down the field with a goddamn football, and there's not many people on the field that are gonna be able to stop him.
I can pretty much guarantee you that he's going to go under owned. If I had to guess, I'd say he's under 15% ownership in the overall, and that's shocking. That's shocking to me.
If you can put a Kansas City Chief wide receiver in your lineup, a Kansas City Chief offensive player in your lineup, you fucking do it. I don't.
He was my runner-up for our Crown Their Ass segment, which we'll get to in a little bit. He was my runner-up. He's very risky. Obviously, he can come out there and hurt himself again. Obviously, but he also has the upside. And at 5,400 at captain, God dang, you could really go crazy with the rest of your flex positions. You can just go off, and he's not going to be owned. He's going to be 2%, maybe 3% in the captain at most. He is the prototypical milli maker captain this slate for sure. Demarcus Robinson, tell me what you think about him, man. You have a take on him, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he's a little priced up than I would like. I think he's 100% in play. But he's generally more valid when Tyreek Hill is not in.
But Mecole Hardman's out, so he takes over that third role, potentially the second wide receiver role on this team. Considering that you've got Sammy still a little banged up, we don't know how good he's going to be this week. Sammy could play every snap, or he could play 30% of the snaps. We just don't know with Demarcus.
No, Demarcus Robinson is negatively correlated to Sammy Watkins. He is better when Sammy Watkins is out. Mecole Hardman is more positively correlated to Demarcus Robinson. If Mecole Hardman is out, I don't even know if I'm explaining this right. But if Hardman is out, the ball goes to Watkins. If Watkins is out and Hardman is in, Robinson gets some run. That's where I'm at with this.
Look, I'm going to assume. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to assume that they're going to ease Sammy in slightly, see how he does in the first couple drives, and then unleash him if he's good. But to me, Demarcus last week, so Tyreek Hill got 96% of the snaps in Week 9. They had a bye week in Week 10. Demarcus Robinson had 86% of the snaps in Week 9, and Mecole Hardman had 70%. So does this week with Sammy Watkins coming back, does Watkins take over that Hardman role and they ease him in a little bit? And does Demarcus Robinson become that number 2 guy? Because if that's the case at that price, he's very, very tempting. It's just going to be one of these things where okay, I think you set a group and you don't allow Watkins or Robinson, you don't allow more than one of them in your group. They're negatively correlated. You're totally right. But I think Demarcus Robinson is getting overlooked. And at potentially less than 15% ownership, I think he's a home run hitter if he's that low owned. I think you got to double the field on him. That's just me.
Yeah, so I agree 100%.
Now,
if he's at 15%, you're doubling the field.
Now, Byron Pringle, nothing to write home about, but he's $200. You got to consider a guy $200 on the slate. You just have to do it. I mean, look at his fantasy box score here. It's actually relatively impressive for a guy that's $200. He was $200 against Vegas in Week 5. That was his first game of the year. Since then, he's been priced. He's been priced up.
These numbers.
Yes,
I don't want to see him.
Oh, I know
because
it's shocking. Right?
I didn't play him when I should have.
So he's been priced up to $400, $1,400, then he dropped down to $600. But at $200, it's the DJ Dallas syndrome. DJ Dallas touched the ball 3 or 4 times on Thursday night against the Cardinals, and he's still, if it wasn't for Carlos Hyde scoring that bullshit touchdown, DJ Dallas very well could have been in the winning lineup. At $200, you don't need a whole lot. You don't need a whole lot. And look at this guy's floor at 3 points. Byron Pringle at 3 points. Yeah, it's not going to get you in a winning lineup. But if he gets 9 points, if he gets 4 or 5 receptions randomly because maybe everyone's guarding all the best players on this team, and he gets a couple screen passes, he could take you to he could take you to the winning lineup for sure. So we got to move on. Let's go to tight end. Nothing much to talk about here. You got Travis Kelce. Play Travis Kelce. Just play him. He's the best tight end in the NFL. Him and Kittle. He's the best tight end in the NFL. Those 2 guys. He's 10.6K. You're gonna have to make a decision. To me, you probably can't get Mahomes, Kelce, and Hill in the same lineup. Maybe if you punt on a couple positions, but personally speaking, I'm just gonna spread out my Kelce and Hill exposure to hopefully try to be above the field if I possibly can. So how are you handling Kelce, and do you have any interest in Yelder at 200?
I love Kelce. I will not have more than 2 lineups with Kelce and Hill together, so I'll probably have a rule that if you don't have Hill, you have Kelce, or vice versa. But I don't give a shit about Who the fuck is that guy? Yelder?
Yelder.
Dion Yelder?
He's $200.
No, I don't care about him. Nick Kaiser is the guy that I'm looking at, and I don't see him in your player pool
hang
there,
on.
but
Let me pull him up.
yeah, Nick Kaiser is going to be that guy. That dude's not going to be active. I fully anticipate
Yelder's not going to be active?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they're going to go the Kaiser route. I think Nick Kaiser's their number 2. Like,
I'd rather go Pringle, though. Don't you think? Over any of these guys?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But look, again, my analysis for the Kansas City Chiefs offense is if they're in the fucking player pool, if they're on the active list, I don't give a shit. Just put them in the lineup. Yeah. I mean, any single one of these guys has the opportunity to go up. Byron Pringle is going to have the higher ceiling because he's going to have the opportunity to catch the ball out of the slot, probably splitting the safeties, and, you're looking at a 30, 40-yard touchdown potential. So, he's got the highest upside. But, again, Nick Kaiser, these $200 guys, sure, fuck it. Why not? But Travis Kelce, he'll be in my lineup. Yeah.
There's no, hard-hitting analysis here. Play him as much as you possibly can. You're going to be limited with roster construction, but just try to get him in as much as you can. Let's move over to Vegas. Let's move over to their tight ends. You got Darren Waller, who is one of the most freakish athletes we've seen at tight end in years. He's at 7K this week. And this is really important to look at because at 7K, he might slightly be forgotten, but I think you have to really, really force him into lineups this week because maybe he's not going to project as well as any of the other Kansas City players that are in that top tier. But at 7K, his value is pretty good. And I'm we'll get to our captain choice here, but spoiler alert. So 7K for him. He did pretty good against KC when they last played. He's had a couple down weeks, but if you look, I mean, his bad weeks are 13 points, right? He's gotten 15, 16. Yeah, he's had a couple of under 10-point games fantasy-wise, but he has a ceiling. He has a ceiling that's, in my opinion, equal to Kelce. He can easily catch 2 touchdowns in this game and get 8 receptions. I think you have to really consider fitting him into your lineups. If you're doing 4-2 Kansas City stacks, you put Josh Jacobs, you put Booker, or one of those other guys, and you put him in every one of your lineups, in my opinion. And then you just rotate the other guys around him. At 7K, you're going to need a guy like this at that value. What do you think?
So I literally have 2 positions on this, and it's funny because let's just to make the audience aware, he's the one who builds the slide for the crown their ass or the captain of the night.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
That's coming.
Exactly. So I just tell him what I want to play, and I have no idea. So I spend the entire show trying to guess who his guy is. So now that I know, it's funny because that's why I started laughing a second ago. I'm fine with it, right?
Yeah.
Darren Waller, really the only interest that I have in him is at the captain spot, and it's because of his price tag.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much interest I have at the flex. And that's mainly because him and the wide receivers are generally negatively correlated.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's doing well, then the receivers aren't going to do well. So, and I'm pretty high on fucking Henry Ruggs just because, go ahead and cue this thing.
You son of a bitch.
Because I'm a Bama fan, right? But Tyson's exactly right. Darren Waller is the 3rd best tight end in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's including Zach Ertz, right? And
You have Zach Ertz over Kittle?
No, Zach Ertz is 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I meant my list is including. Yeah, I didn't say that well. Sorry, guys.
Son of a bitch.
It goes Kelce, Kittle, Waller, Ertz. And that's Ertz of I don't know.
Last year.
Years past. Yeah. Anyways,
so
I like him.
Any interest in
interest
in Witten or Foster Moreau?
Foster Moreau, $200. He may get a end zone target for a touchdown.
Look at this mofo. He had
lineup.
He had 10 points. I mean, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for this ceiling. I know that it's not guaranteeing future outcomes, but you know he has opportunity. You know he's gotten 4 points. He's gotten 10 points. Like, he's gotten these points. And even looking at last year, he's gotten 8, 10, you know? That's something to look at. If you see a guy with a bunch of ones and zeros, okay, that's a lottery ticket. But I think at least in this case, Foster Moreau has proven he can catch a touchdown here and there, 1 or 2 a season. Can this be the game?
Go back to last year.
Yeah,
just go back to. Last
year. I was looking at it. It's pretty impressive actually. Yeah, look at that.
Last year he had 2 in one game. It was a Thursday night game. I'm pretty sure.
I don't see the 2. Maybe did he rush for 1? Anyways, he had a lot of touchdowns last year. So
yeah, I mean,
consider playing him. He's number 3 on the depth chart, but we don't know what Gruden's gonna do. We have no fucking clue. We have no idea.
No idea.
So and same with Andy Reid. Spread yourself out this week. Take a stand on a couple guys. Take a stand on your the high probability guys, and then spread out from there. That's just my thoughts. So
are we on defense now?
Kickers and defense. So you can combine all these. Give me your thoughts on Harrison Butker at 4K and Daniel Carson. I think Butker can kick like 12 60-yarders in this game. Me personally, I don't like playing kickers because I don't know how much opportunity they're actually going to get. Who knows? You can't project kickers. You just can't. Like, I don't care who you are. You can't project kickers unless you're fucking fortune teller. So in my opinion, I'm not gonna waste my roster spots at 4K and 38K when I can get a dude for 22K or 2200 that I can guarantee is going to get more points than these guys.
Out of these 4 spots, I think the Raiders defense is the least playable. Excuse me. I think Harrison Butker is the most playable.
Yeah, agreed. And we're in a dome right now. We're in a dome. Like, Butker can literally kick a 63-yarder, no problem. He can kick multiple 60-yarders. So that would be my one caveat is, concentrate on the guy who has the ceiling, which is Butker.
Yeah. So, to our subscribers, the people watching the show, like, I just need to sincerely apologize because I understand how, like, some of this feedback isn't helpful. But at the end of the day, I mean, Harrison Butker could have 7 extra points and 2 field goals. That's like 15 points, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you got to keep in mind some of this stuff. And he's not even coming up with my player pool. See, that's one thing.
He's not even projected yet.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm not a fan of on this site. But look, I mean, let's go over to the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense, first of all, I didn't mention this with the Darren Waller part, but Tyrann Mathieu is one of the people who is going to be covering Darren Waller. And Tyrann Mathieu he's a powerful man. And at his height, he's one of the reasons why the Cardinals were a joke against tight ends last year, right?
Yeah.
Him being gone severely impacted that defense. He covers tight ends, and I don't think he's going to let Darren Waller do anything against him. That's the only reason why I wouldn't put him in the flex, and that's why I want him at captain. So, anyways, that's besides the point.
I think you could focus on the Chiefs. I think the Raiders, just X them out. Chiefs, you never know what can happen with them. They're dynamic, like you said. They have some dynamic players.
Get sacks. They have the opportunity to get takeaways for touchdowns.
And like we say every week, you're hoping that if you're playing the defense, you can't just assume that even if it's a 10-7 game, if the defense doesn't get 4 or 5 sacks, if they don't get fumble recoveries, if there's not an interception for a touchdown or a punt or kickoff return for a touchdown, they're not going to score well. So the Chiefs can do that this week. They've proven that they're a dynamic defense, that they can take the ball back, they can pick 6, fumble recoveries, they can sack the quarterback. So 4,800, a team that's favored by 8, I think you got to give them a shot. They're going to slip under the cracks on a 57, slip between the cracks on a 57 total. And I know 4,800 is a lot for a defense, but if they can get an interception for a touchdown and like 4 or 5 sacks, they'll be in the optimal. Anything else to add to this?
No, man. I don't think my input was that helpful. Anyways, I'm pretty sure I just got caught stating the obvious in silly ways.
Well, that's the way the slate is turning out. It's very difficult to build rosters. It's very, very difficult to feel comfortable with any of your lineups. We're gonna move over to our fade of the night, and here it is.
What's your name? Tony! Fuck you, Tony!
Ellie, tell me your fade of the night.
Bro, you can't just fucking surprise me with shit like that and expect me to be ready to talk about this shit. All right, no, Derek Carr, man. Like, again, that's just my initial thoughts. I'm not a fan of his current performance trend.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious to see where his ownership projections are going to land based on his current pricing. So, right now, he is very much anticipated to be my fade of the night. But come Sunday, that could shit. So just stay tuned. Follow us on Twitter or Discord. And keep an eye on some of the changes. Yeah. By the way, I didn't end up playing Travis Homer the other night. So things can change.
Exactly. All right. I mean, Derek Carr, one of these 9.5K and above guys, you're just going to have to fade in general. You have to take a stand. I took a stand on Carlos Hyde. I didn't think he was going to have a good game. He ended up getting a bullshit touchdown, and that was that one guy $500,000. So I took a stand on it, and it was literally an inch or two away from being correct. That's how this is. Showdown is not for the faint of heart. If you got to take a stand, like you legit have to take a stand, both at captain and at fade of the night. So kickers and defense to me, it's random, and I don't like random. I like to try to control as much as I possibly can. Harrison Butker kicking 14 60-yard field goals, I'll just accept it and I'll move on to the next slate. I can't control it. I don't even know when or if he's going to have opportunity. So I'm going to fade him. I'd rather get a $2,200 Devontae Booker than spend up for, $4K with those guys. So now we're going to move on to our captain of the night here. We are crowning their ass.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Ellie, tell me about your crown their ass captain on Draftkings.
Well, no. First, I got to say, I got it. I guessed it, right? I told you guys I was going to figure it out during the show, and I knew it was Darren Waller. But anyways,
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, no. Clyde, he's pretty inexpensive given his potential output, and I understand that his usage has been cut back. But this is kind of where I like to start jumping on top of guys like this. I gotta come up with a better way to say that.
Bitch.
Yeah, that didn't work out for me. But look, this is when I start trying to take advantage of these guys. Right? I mean, they're in a good position. They're in a good position to give me what I need, right? Like, I mean, you have the opportunity to score some points at a very low price. And that's what I want from a captain. It's going to give me the flexibility to start throwing in some other dudes that I wouldn't normally see in a situation like this. So, given that and all the fucking innuendo there, I'm going to toss it over to you, Tyson.
Darren Waller at 7K has a really high ceiling, and just crunching out a couple hundred lineups with a lot of these top captains that, in my opinion, some of the best lineups are ending up with Darren Waller simply because he's at 7K in the flex. What's his captain price? Whatever. You can do the math on that. It's not a huge deal. But having him at 7K and throwing him in the captain allows you to get an additional 4 high-quality players and then punt at one player. Throw in a Le'Veon Bell, throw in a why am I blanking on his name? Devontae Booker. Yeah, that's the guy. Throw in one of those guys or punt at $200, and you don't have to worry about punting at one position instead of multiples. Darren Waller is going to be sub 10% in the captain. I personally think he's going to be 4%, and if that's the case, I'm going to probably lock him into almost every single lineup and diversify from there to try to figure out the rest of the flex positions. But Darren Waller's my guy this week, and doing a 2-4 with Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, Devontae Booker, and run it back with 4 Chiefs. I think that's recipe for success in my opinion.
Well, that's cool because when we built our lineup here, I was going to suggest we use Waller as captain.
Well,
I hadn't practice builds with that, so let's do it.
Well, let's do it. All right, so Waller at captain. He's priced so low.
I want to throw in Booker. Fuck it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Dude, I love Booker. Like, I really love Booker on this slate.
Why can't I find him?
Dude, if Rashard is out, like, I was fucking with it while we were playing along, so make sure that...
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. So, Devontae Booker, I love him at that price, 2.2K. I love that. Now look, if we have Waller in the captain and he's sub 3% or even sub 5%, you could fuck with the 3-3. Like, you could totally do 3-3. But in my opinion, in this particular game, I think that the Chiefs are going to go off, and I'd rather get 4 Chiefs because I need to spread out that exposure. If they score 48 points or something, or if they go off, we really need to be spread out with them. So
again, it's important to be different at the captain so that you don't have to get stupid at the other.
You don't have to get stupid.
Right? I'd rather have a 2-4 build where the 4-2 is chalk with the Chiefs side. But this way, because I don't have a Chiefs player at captain, I'm so much more different that I can still get the heavy chalk on the other side.
Exactly. So no, it's totally. That's just a smart way of doing it, in my opinion. That's just how I like to build. All right, did we go
Hill?
Hill. Okay, that was my next question. Kelsey or Hill? We're gonna go Hill. All right, that leaves us with about 6,400 a pop. We got 2 positions for Chiefs. Do we want to go with one of the running backs here? Do you want to go with Le'Veon? Or is that too much, getting Le'Veon and Booker in the same lineup?
I think it's too much, man.
Well, let me just see. Look at that, 11.5K.
Yeah, you got so much salary on the table right now.
Look at this. But dude, look at this. Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey and Bell. I mean, look, that's an option. You got Waller, Booker. Look, like we say every time, this is not. Don't go submitting this into your cash lineups. This is obviously the chances that this fails are up there because you've got Booker and Waller as your only 2 Vegas players. But this is the kind of lineup that can win first place solo. Let's take Bell out.
Hold on. If Lev gets 6 carries for 30 yards and 2 receptions for 15 yards, he pays off his price tag.
Totally. And same with Booker.
Was it 2 weeks ago? Travis Kelce had like 80 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
And Tyreek Hill, I think he had like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. But think about that. They are negatively correlated most of the time. But if you have 2 middling performance where each guy has 5 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown, you're capturing all the points. That's a great build. I
love that build. Let's try a little remix on that. So let's go 3-3. Let's get Josh Jacobs in, and let's find DeMarcus.
Oh, you can't. It's 3,200 or 3,300.
Yeah.
You got to go Booker.
We already have
you
Booker.
Already got him. Okay. Can you go Kelsey?
No.
Kelsey instead of Hill.
Oh, you can. Actually, that will help you. Yeah, you're right. So Kelsey. Can we get DeMarcus? Oh, he's 4.4K.
No.
Oh, well, if Mecole Hardman was playing, you could. So look, there's a lot of options here. This is not gonna be easy. Like building. Like, look, actually, you know what? Here, let's try this. Let's pull Booker. Let's go with Le'Veon. So we've got Mahomes, Kelsey, Le'Veon Bell, and that'll get us DeMarcus. That'll get us DeMarcus Robinson. Yeah. So look, you're capturing all the a large majority of the points. Now look, there's an opportunity where CEH can absolutely crush, and you're fucked. But Waller with Jacobs, I'm pretty comfortable getting Waller and Jacobs and then running it back with all the best players minus Tyreek Hill from the other team. So these are some fun builds. This is just a fun exercise to actually, practice when you're actually building, so you kind of know where your builds are going to go, and you have to figure out that one player that's going to give you the leverage that you're not going to be duped with, 30, 40, or 50 plus lineups. You got to figure out those couple players. In my opinion, Bell, Booker, one of these DeMarcus Robinson types. Those are going to be the guys. Those are going to be the keys to actually accomplishing that. All right, Ellie, send us out with your pick here, your choice in the final score of this game.
Chiefs win 37-27.
I like that. I'm gonna go Chiefs 42-28. I can see it happening, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We're gonna have a couple of showdown slates for next week as well, but join us on Monday night. We're doing the Monday night, and then we're going to do all the Thanksgiving ones. See you guys later.